What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Rewind here on the Wayward World podcast. I'm Sid, and today it's a double feature of Bellingham drag artist. Somehow, all the like the last episode was Sage Valentine, and then now this episode features this drag king, also from Bellingham. They're described by Faye, former guest of the show, as they are honestly sorry, they are honestly are so hardworking. Yeah, she made a typo in her little spin, but they honestly are so hardworking and produce such a fun and all trans cast show in Bellingham called Euphoria. Seriously top notch. They encompass a lot within their drag, and it's always well rounded. And they love rhinestones. They strive to be inclusive, and honestly, they are just a gem. Expect to see a lot of love and emotion, sparkles, and storytelling. It can also get dirty, sexy, and spooky, but it's also amazing. And I'm down to get dirty and sexy and spooky with this drag king. Please welcome Dizzy Phoria. How are you doing, Dizzy?
I'm good. Wow, what an intro.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited.
I Yeah, we did some like actual journalism, and it was like, oh, let's interview people that they know. Specifically because I know Faye so well. So I was like, tell me a little bit about Dizzy. Yeah, how have you been feeling? The last like as of recording last week, you were feeling sick. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I feel a lot better today. I'm excited. I tested multiple times. I didn't have COVID, but I think I just had like a cruddy cold. It's just everyone is sick right now. So, little reminder to wear masks in public and test and take care of yourselves and your community because it's not fun. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's terrible. I remember when I got COVID. I didn't get COVID. I got it was this like 2 years ago now? God, it's so crazy how long COVID's been going on. But it was like during the early times, and that was miserable, especially when I felt better and I had to like isolate, and because I was still testing positive, and I was like, God damn it, I feel better. I want to go out and do
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, it's so hard. Yeah, it's hard. Like I also have ADHD, and so rest is really hard for me. So I was like, I need to take it easy, and I decided to just go through all of my belongings, and it was just like, let me just start all of these really hard, lengthy tasks instead of resting in bed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks.
And you didn't sound like as you described trans Squidward, did you?
Oh my gosh, I did. Yeah, I was honking
Oh, you did.
everywhere.
Uh, Well,
Yeah,
and don't you have pets too? Like if I
I
recall
do.
correctly. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
probably got to spend some time with them.
I have two cats. I have an orange female called, and her name is Bell Pepper or Belle. And then I have like this half Bengal, half Gremlin, um, a little like brown and black tabby. His name is Beans. And then I
Oh,
have an axolotl. So
oh,
yeah.
an axolotl. You're like, I
Hmm.
think the second trans person that I know who has the
No
axolotl.
way, really?
Like
Yeah,
I don't know what
axolotls
it
are
is.
coded. I don't know.
Yeah, they are. There's something about them. I don't know. I kind of want one too, but I can barely take care of three dogs.
They're kind of hard. Yeah, I rescued her impulsively. Someone posted on their story, and I was like, sure, I'll take that on. And then I've never like cycled a tank or like had taken care of an exotic animal before, and it was a learning curve. And I got her, and she was so sick. She was starving. She had missing fingers and gills because she was living with another axolotl, and if they get hungry enough, they'll start eating each other.
Oh,
They're kind of like starfish, like they'll regrow limbs, which is really cool. So I just fed her a bunch of worms and learned and kept her in a little bucket. And now she's like super chunky and cute. And she's like living it up in her 20-gallon tank that is successfully cycled.
oh,
Proud of
that's
myself.
really nice. I mean, like it probably didn't bother her too much that she lost the limb. She's like, grow it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Another
Um,
transcoded personality trait. Like
I love that.
reborn all the time. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Dizzy, for the uninitiated and the wayward artists out there, tell us who you are and what you do.
So my name is Dizzy Phoria. Outside of drag, you can call me Zaina. I live in Bellingham, Washington. I'm 28, 27, 20, 27 or 28. Math is hard. um, and I do drag. I'm a non-binary drag performer. I identify as either a drag king or a drag performer or sometimes drag monster, but in and out of drag, I'm non-binary and I use they them pronouns. And yeah, just like casually being a local icon.
Uh, I mean, yeah, for sure. I knew about you, as I mentioned at the top of the show. I knew about you way before Faye like moved in. So like I've been following you for a bit, and I think like even Sage in her episode was talking about you like with you know
Mm,
joy and happiness too. So you're, I
mm,
think you are pretty well known. I don't know, like
really
little celebrity for sure.
hard
I
to
will
like.
say,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
Oh, I
interrupt
was
you.
just gonna say it's hard to wrap my head around it. Like I joked a second ago about being an icon, but it really does like it's so moving and humbling to like know that other people know of me and care so deeply about me and my art.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what being a leader is about, and like we'll get to talk about that later on in the episode. But I will say like not knowing how old you are, like you get to that point in your age where you just like, yeah, I don't know. I like that's happened to me. I'm 31, and I have to like remind myself that I'm not 30. I'm 31, and it's just like it's just so at this
Right.
point. Yeah, I just like I feel the same as I did last year. It just all the years just kind of like meld together. I think when you get to that age too where you're like, yeah, this is there's no milestones here except like when you
Mm,
turn 30, I think.
yeah. Yeah, that was how was turning 30 because I'm approaching it and I'm kind of scared, but
I'll be honest, 30 is the new 20. I'll
oh
like
yeah.
for real. I feel I mean, I've lost a lot of weight. I've been exercising. I've been like really kind of on a healthcare like thing, especially because like I'm like, oh shoot, I'm getting older, and so I need to watch out for that health because we can't like wait until we're like 30 to like take care of our take care of ourselves anymore. We're 30 now, so like I've been on like the healthcare thing, doing like kick not kickboxing, boxing.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so
Cool.
doing that. I need to get back to the actual gym to like do some running because I've been doing a lot of running and stuff. I was like pushing 300 pounds and now I'm like 230, which I want to lose that extra 30, but like I did that all by myself. A lot of it was
Wow.
just like mental health and stuff like that. Like it kind of manifests in like eating and not taking care of my body and gaining all that weight. So I feel like losing it all was really a sign that like my mental health is getting a lot more clear. So and it happened in my 30s. So I'm like, yeah, like people keep talking about crickly knees and hurt back, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like how I should have felt in my 20s.
Mm, yeah. That's great. Congratulations. That's a big accomplishment. It's not easy
Oh,
to
thank you.
do.
It's I'll be honest, like the first like month it's not easy, but like once you get that consistency in, it's just like second nature. I think like once you unlock the oh yeah, we got to do this today. It's kind of like the show, you know, like there are days where I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to record with somebody, but like once you get kind of a flow going, you're like, this is a lot of fun. And like I actually like running now. So it's like kind of crazy.
Yeah, running is definitely not my preferred form of exercise. So that's cool. I'm still working on that.
Oh, you
Uh,
got it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I do want to get back to you because this is your episode, but Dizzy Phoria, you did mention, I think in an interview somewhere, that Dizzy Phoria was kind of a reference to how you overcame a lot of your dysphoria. Do you want to like expound on that a little bit? Like, where does Dizzy Phoria come from?
yeah. So dysphoria is like a play on words of dysphoria, and it's like giving it's kind of making fun of my like gender dysphoria and also kind of embracing that and transforming it. Um, yeah, I think that so I started drag in 2019, like the end of 2019, and then 2020 happened, and March 1st or 3rd, I can't remember exactly what day. I have another trans anniversary that's on one of those. but it
Mm,
was in the beginning of March 2020 that I started testosterone. And then mid-March happened and everything shut down from COVID. And I just spent most of quarantine going through second puberty, like humping pillows and
mhm.
exploring drag makeup. Um, and it was like this really, I'm glad in some ways that I was isolated through it because it was pretty rough in the beginning days. Some of those drag faces were not stage ready, but I had to go through it to learn my face and everything. But yeah, I chose my name Dizzy Phoria because I just felt that there was this innate connection to my drag and the way I wanted to explore drag and the way I wanted to explore my gender identity. And I really like came to an understanding of who I am as a person outside of drag, inside of drag, if that makes sense. And yeah, so I became Dysphoria and I like started connecting to community and I like fundraised for my top surgery, figured out what I wanted to do, and then through drag, like community upheld me and helped me afford my top surgery and helped me with like social connection and just like showered me with love and support. And I really feel like that I would be so much more lost and um, confused if I didn't have drag. And I think that a lot of trans people use drag as an outlet to explore their gender and to like find community and acceptance of their gender. Um, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that's a really good answer. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think there's a lot of drag artists, and I'm referencing specifically like the RuPaul of it all, and even
Mm-hmm.
Dragula to an extent of like a bunch of those people who come out as trans on the show, like just from exploring their identity through
Mm-hmm.
drag, and like I think it's yeah, it's very common. And I'm surprised that like your drag family has kind of like helped you not only like embraced you and giving you that support like to explore your gender identity, but also like literally helped you in the sense of like fundraising for your top
Mm-hmm.
surgery and testosterone and all that stuff. I'm curious, like, because you started drag and around your adulthood. When did you? What made you want to start? Like, what inspires you to? What
Mm-hmm.
inspired you to start?
Well, I turned 21, and then right when I turned 21, I found the only gay bar in Bellingham, Washington, Rumors Cabaret. And so I started going there, and I started going to the drag shows over at Rumors. And I just fell in love with the art form. I loved all of the kings and queens and other performers that were over there. And then I started dating one of the drag kings,
Nice.
and we
Yeah.
started living together. And he was like really supported me and pushed me into trying it. And so technically, he's like my drag dad too, because he helped teach me how to do drag makeup and he helped me make my mix for the number and um, which was my very first performance was a mix of creep, which I feel like everyone eventually does creep who does drag.
Yes.
It's just like a rite of passage. Um, and it was mixed with I Put a Spell on You, the Marilyn Manson cover, which I don't do anymore, but 2019 it slaps. So
Oh yeah.
and I was like, he like helped me make this little sexy pirate outfit for it. And um yeah, and then after that he like helped support me in trying to figure out my stuff and then I kind of like took it from there and grew with it. But yeah, I think that like having the representation in my community really helped me be like, oh, this is a thing that is possible that I can also do. Um, and inspired me to like make my own name for myself and grow into the community with him.
Oh, sick. That's great. One thing that I found interesting with like with your aesthetic, because like looking back at old photos, you kind of started off with like, it's drag makeup, you know, like with the eyeshadow, little bit
Mm,
exaggerated expression and all that. But when you look at Disney now, I feel like I feel like your signature like in drag is like that graphic liner, like the way it kind of looks like you're almost like a comic book character, I would say,
mm.
with like the thick lines around your face, like highlighting like those like deep details in that way. Um, how did you get from doing I don't want to say regular drag makeup because like I don't have a better word for it, but like how did you start off like from where you started in the beginning to like
Mhm.
the signature look which we're going to be showing throughout the podcast of like that really like graphic almost comic like liner that you I feel like you're known for.
Yeah, I think just like practice and doing it, because the more that you do it, the more you learn and explore. Like I said, and when I was in quarantine, I did a lot of like really terrible makeup paints and but also some really good ones that I learned and was like, ooh, that's fun to do. And even before drag, I've always been the kind of person to like push what is like push fashion and like appearance and like in school when I was younger, I was always in school suspension because I was constantly just not meeting dress code standards because I needed to be unique and serve a look, you know.
Mhm. No, I feel
Um,
that.
but my drag like dad, Orpheus was his name. He was also like very clowny, like he was like a clown-esque kind of drag king and so like inspired by him and by other people that like I saw online or just like random inspirations. Like I would look at animals and the ways that like animal markings would like look. And I just once I started exploring, I just found that like I really like really bold, over exaggerated makeup looks. And I also really like when it's conceptually connected to my outfit. So you can see that like some of my iconic numbers, like I'll do Welcome to the Jungle with like a tiger look, and there's literally like a tiger stuffed animal in my crotch, and like I have a big long tiger tail, and I like do my face specifically for that number to look like a tiger's marking, and I make sure that it's super bold because what I had learned in those like beginner photos, if you scroll all the way back, is that like the my contour and stuff they weren't dark enough to be perceived from far away, so like up close it looked okay, but then when you had stage lights and distance I was so washed out. And I just learned that like if you're bolder, people know can read you better, and I just like have fun being a little cartoony and campy. I'm very campy. Like I don't think that I'm a very glam performer. If you look at any of my wigs, you know, they are screaming desperately for moisturizer and a brush, but like that's just not the kind of drag I do. Like I'm a little
That's fair.
punky, I'm very DIY, I'm very like campy comical, you know.
Can be comical and a little bit nerdy too, because in the
Yeah.
background of your
Oh
video
yeah.
right there, I see the Triforce the shield right there, and the God damn it, what I'm such a fake nerd. I already forget the sword from Zelda. God, it has a name, the Master Sword. There, that's what it
There
was called. You had one look that I really liked of you in like Zelda too. Like, are you inspired by like video games as well? Like, besides like
yeah.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, I do think that like I've never been to Comic Con and I've never like considered myself to be a cosplayer, but I do think that I have a lot of fun doing cosplay-esque drag, like making Dizzy in the form of some of my favorite video game and movie characters. Like I also have a Bowser number that is so fun to do.
Oh yeah, I've
Um,
seen that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so I definitely enjoy that, and yeah, yeah. Like I have a SpongeBob number. I just really, I'm a big nerd for sure. You hit the nail on the
Oh yeah,
head.
no, for sure. It's really cool. I mean, the way you do that makeup, like it's like it really diversifies um the outfit. Like you can put that that look on in your face, but like I feel like it really goes well with anything that you've worn.
Mm,
So you really perfected it there, especially in 4 years too. Like that's
thank
really
you.
that's really crazy.
Thanks. Yeah, I also think that like my specific signature, I I think not watching a lot of RuPaul has helped me kind of not conform almost because I don't have that as like a standard set for myself. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think RuPaul is really great in a lot of ways. Like it provides representation for drag artists and that like it's really helped with like societal acceptance of us and like respect for it being an art form that like deserves a spotlight. But I do think that there are a lot of shortcomings to the show and in that it doesn't like completely represent like local drag and drag artists that maybe don't have a lot of money or don't look a specific way, like aren't fashion queens.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I feel that. I mean, with RuPaul, he's like that problematic grandpa. You know, you love
Mm-hmm.
him, and like he's done a lot of good stuff for you, but like you know, he'll probably say one or two things that are out of line. You're like, he's 80. You know, just let him live. It's not like it's not that bad where you're gonna like distance yourself from it, but it's like you really got to say that one thing, you know,
Mm,
like
yeah,
the what was it like his stance on trans people competing on the show initially, but that's changed a lot though. Sasha Colby won, so
yeah, that's
I think it's
true.
okay. And
I guess
Cody
growth
Sadiq.
is possible, but
I mean, like at least for me anyway. Like I've grown a lot. So I hope other people can. Um, I do want to ask you, um, why drag king specifically? What made you want to go in that direction rather than because I feel like
mm,
drag queens are very more popular and like that's like
yeah.
everyone knows a drag queen, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone loves drag queens, but like drag kings, as we mentioned on Mauve's episode and Fanny DeVito's episode, they don't get their respect, you know. So what drew you into being a king or a drag performer rather than like a drag queen?
Um, well, I think because it's tied into my gender identity and my gender exploration, I think that like outside of drag, um, like I get girled, she heard constantly, and it's exhausting all the time. And even in drag, even if I'm wearing like a king crown and robe and you can see my top surgery scars, I still get, hey queen, like oh my gosh, like this amazing queen. And I'm just like, I have a huge mustache on, like no titties.
Yeah,
um, but I just felt like being able to use drag as like an outlet where I can be affirmed as something that is not girl more. Um, it like just kind of helps me feel a bit more euphoric as a person outside of
it is
drag.
euphoric. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because at least right now you're to me anyway, you're presenting mask. And I feel like at least with drag kings and anything like that, like drag kings often play with masculinity a lot more. So that's even
Hmm.
like, hey, I'm mask, you know, like but you also don't fit in that like binary because you're non-binary, they them. So
Hmm.
I can see why you'd want to explore that area more than you know drag queens are typically more femme, more glamour and all that. Um,
Well, drag
the
kings
other
can also be glamorous, just in a
they
different way.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I mean, Mauve is a good example of that. Like he is like a drag king from New York, and he explores a lot with femininity in his drag.
Hmm.
His
Nice.
signature actually is like he'll have these very feminine looks, but like he'll add these like this mustache, which you know
Mm-hmm.
that's the king right there. It's the little mustache. So I think it's stunning. But yeah, I mean, drag can be anything. Like, you know, fuck
Exactly.
labels.
Yeah, it's about breaking rules. It's about having fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you're not having fun, you're not doing drag. But
No.
I do have a another question. Were you always in Bellingham? Like how long have you been there?
I moved to Bellingham in 2015 to go to college here at Western Washington University, and I've been here for the most part ever since then. I moved and lived in Shoreline, like closer to Seattle, for like a year and a half, and then the traffic was making me a terrible person, and I was lonely, and so I moved back to Bellingham, and I just feel like I consider it home at this point.
What about
Yeah.
Bellingham is home to you, especially like with the college and everything? Like, well, why Bellingham of all places?
Yeah, I think it's a nice little like in between middle spot between Canada and Seattle, like the big cities, but it's small, so it's not like overcrowded at this point. It's getting there, but it's like a
Yeah.
small city. It's like we have access to water and to forests and nature, and but we like still have things to do, and it's just a little bit easier for my nervous system to like process and be around all of the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's what Sage like when I asked her that kind of that similar question because Bellingham to me, yeah, it's a small city, but like, um, there seems like there's a lot going on. So that's why I
Mhm.
asked Sage a similar question, and her answer was very similar to yours as well. She was also at WWU. Did you guys?
Mhm, recent
Yeah, recent graduate. Did you guys cross paths at all? Like, was she like a freshman while you were a senior or something?
Oh, no, we did not meet when I was a student there because I graduated in 2019.
Oh.
And so that's probably like when she was starting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's about right. Yeah, she started in 20 yeah, 2020 actually.
Oh,
During
yeah. I remember like in 2019, I was like, dang, I graduated in 2020. That's such a cooler number. And I was like,
well,
no, it was
yeah,
meant to be. I
I
don't know how to do it.
I also graduated from Gonzaga in 2019 and I didn't want to go to my graduation because I was like, oh, this is so dumb. I don't want to go to like and do this all this. Like I made it out, got the degree. I don't need to celebrate. And then the pandemic happened and I saw how everyone else was doing like the pandemic graduation and I was like, you know, maybe it's nice to brag about being the last normal graduation of in the world.
Right. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I really feel for them though. I don't know how they did it. I would not have, I don't know. So
Oh,
stressful.
I would have like I would have taken a couple years off until they
Yeah.
did it in person. Like I was a theater degree too, so I was like, there's no,
Mm.
I'm not doing online theater. I
Oh
hated it
god.
then, and I still hate it now. Um, but I do want to talk about WWU because you had a lot of involvement with them. Specifically, they have this really interesting event called QueerCon.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about it. And you also did like a presentation there. Like I think it was this year. Yeah, back in April, I believe you did a
Hmm.
presentation there. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, it was awesome. That was my first con that I ever went to. I was invited to be the keynote speaker there, and it was awesome. Um, I dressed up as my Bowser look because that's a really fun look that I like to do. And also, I was like, it's Comic Con kind of, so but queer coded, so why not? This is perfect. And yeah, I made this presentation talking about like trans euphoria and the history of drag in Bellingham and how drag can be a form of like community healing and community connectedness and empowerment for not just the individual but the collective. Um, and it was a really sweet opportunity to get to meet some younger queer kids and families and talk about like why drag is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were the people who attended, were they all like college students or was this something like anyone could have attended?
It was an all ages event. Most of them were college students, but there was like one really young person who traveled from out of town to come to QueerCon because they're like so interested in finding community, and that there's just not a lot of opportunities to see drag when you're younger. So yeah, it was a really sweet moment to get to meet them and share resources and talk about other all ages events that we're hopefully going to have more of here in town. Um, yeah, it was special. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
What was the reception to it like afterwards?
Pretty good. I mean, from what I heard, I didn't get a ton of negative feedback, so that's great.
Hmm.
I think it
That's good.
feels more common sense when you're in the bubble of queerness. You're like, oh yeah, of course, like drag makes sense and isn't this evil thing that people who have no idea and have never been to a drag show perceive it to be. You know?
Yeah. Well, lately not a lot of gay people think that way. Specifically, I feel like the white straight male, well,
Yeah.
not white straight, the white gay male people, the ones
Mm.
that are like LGB without the T type people. And I'm like, yeah, they're the ones who they're lost.
They were also lost when like the lesbians were trying to join the gay rights movement. Like they were, I feel like there are different form like waves of feminism, and that was one of the breakthrough things where it's like gay men. I love gay men so much, but I just feel like they need to like look around and be like, are you being the oppressor right now? Like what are you
Oh yeah.
doing?
No, I get that. Like I get that hardcore, especially like recently, and it just breaks my heart, because like
Yeah,
we're
really
all
sad.
we're kind of all in the same bus here, yeah,
We
fam.
are.
Like
We can be so much stronger together. Like this is what they
exactly.
want. They want us to be disconnected and they want the infighting and the competitiveness because then we're so focused on hurting each other. We're doing the work for them. They don't, you know,
Yeah,
how are we supposed
exactly.
to be better if like we don't want to take the time to get to know each other and love each other for our differences?
Exactly. That's what the show's all about, like getting to know people essentially, specifically in nightlife, but like I even the friends that I've known that have been on the show, like learning something new about them from a different perspective. Like it's so cool. Like people who live and exist like outside your own bubble, like and they have their own lives. Like there's just something so interesting about that. And I'm always reminded of it, like, because I live in Spokane. So, like, whenever I go to Seattle or Los Angeles or like these big cities, and you just see all these people and all these lives. And I feel like I'm monologuing right now, like from a movie. Like, yeah, man, we all live these lives and stuff. But it's true. Like,
Well, there's
it's
actually
so
a word for it. It's one of my
what is it?
favorite words. It's called sonder. Have you ever heard of it?
That sounds familiar.
Sonder.
Well, what is
It,
it?
sonder is so the meaning of sonder is to think about and reflect on how everyone around you is living their own lives and has their own stories. And so it's just kind of like this, like, whoa. This meta
Yeah.
moment where you take it all in.
Yeah, it's not like derealization where everything feels
Yeah,
fake. It's kind of
kind of.
like the opposite. It sounds like
Yeah, yeah. It's like everything is so real.
exactly. Well, we talked a little bit about activism here, but I really want to like deep dive into that because I feel like your drag specifically encapsulates I think I said that right. Activism in it, which is that's like the history of drag. In of itself is activism, like even just putting on a wig and like the the clothes that you're not assigned to at birth is an act of activism, especially nowadays with like the drag bans or Donald Trump becoming like running for president again.
Mhm.
Like it's such an act of resistance, but like you really put it at the forefront of your drag. Can you tell me a little bit about why that's so important for you specifically? Not necessarily like, oh yeah, obviously drag and activism go hand in hand, but like why is that important to you to like really highlight that within your drag?
Mm. Um, I've always felt this innate like drive to fight for justice and for just like a better tomorrow and like healing. And I literally have a quote on my arm. It's the like in the ditch with the little like seed of life. The personal is profoundly political. That's what it says, and it's like a matching tattoo with someone that's really dear to me. But I got that when I was like in college, and it was just this reminder of that like everything we do in this society like is political, and every act of vulnerability is political, and that like, and as I grow into a drag persona and I have the honor of having opportunities to be on stages where people are looking at me and paying attention to what I'm doing, like it just feels wrong for me not to use that opportunity to like spread important messages and to raise awareness and representation of the like fights and like our power as people. And um I don't know, I just feel like I don't, maybe it's because I'm a triple Aquarius. But I'm just always thinking of the collective and how we can empower each other and lift each other up and like build a better tomorrow together today. And like my drag is, that's just a part of like being able to tell those stories and to, I don't know, rise up.
No, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, like even as queer people, like we
Yeah.
constantly like at least like the ones that know it. I feel like like I said, we talked about like white gay men and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
like the people who are like in it have to constantly fight for like a seat at the table, specifically trans and non-binary people.
Hmm.
Like I'm sure you can relate to it. Like me specifically being Arab and being a former Muslim, who lived in Saudi Arabia, who has a Saudi dad and stuff like that. Um, like the fact that like even exist like is a little crazy because the alternative would have been I live in Saudi Arabia and stick with my Arabic family, which is like
Hmm.
it was not helping me, you know, even as a kid. So there's this constant fight of like fighting for that seat at the table and you want to bring other people into it and so you're kind of like sympathize with other people to
Hmm.
have them join you in this and it's always kind of weird when no one else wants to do that but now I agree with everything you're saying and I think one of the things that I did like besides you know your advocacy for a free Palestine, which is something that I've known about way before
Hmm.
October. You know, like as a
Hmm.
kid, like, knowing about the atrocities of like Palestine even then, and just like like yeah, Americans they don't really know about it, and what can you do? But it seems like there's more and more people, and like you're one of them right now. So like I appreciate that. But talking within the context of like your drag and your community in Bellingham, you put on a really amazing show called Euphoria, which is a all trans inclusive cast, which you don't really get to see too much of. The only one that I can think of that's someone's doing something similar, specifically in the Washington area, is Callie the Sally, who does Centerfold over at Queer
Hmm.
Bar.
Hmm.
I think she does it uh, once every month or something. I
Hmm.
like don't quote me on that, but like, um, yeah. Tell me about Euphoria and bringing that show to life.
Yeah, I'm Centerfold is a great show. I've never been to it personally, but Euphoria was specifically inspired by another show in Seattle that's all trans casted. It's actually the first of its kind in Seattle and the longest running, and it's called T for T.
Oh,
Um, and that one is hosted by Be a Bombshell, and I can't remember exactly how long they've been, but they do have an anniversary coming up soon. But yeah, T for T, I have been part of their casts a few times and have been to the show many times. And I just, every time people explain it kind of like trans church in a way, like it just feels so spiritual and like healing to be able to see trans people just shining so brightly, and explicitly like have a stage and a set time to celebrate trans artists. And I saw that we had this need in Bellingham for that. And so I created Euphoria, kind of like an antithesis to my drag name, Dizzyphoria, for the
mhm.
dysphoria. Um, and it's an all trans casted show. We started it June of 2023. So we just had an anniversary. It's been a little over a year.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It's quarterly, so we only do it a few times a year right now because it just takes a lot of energy for me to put it on because it's like my little baby. Um, but it's amazing. We've had 4 shows so far, and I've been able to bring performers from Seattle, Bellingham, and there's an amazing cohort of trans artists in Vancouver, BC, Vancouver and Victoria, BC. So every show I usually will have some Canadian drag, some Seattle drag, and some Bellingham drag just to kind of show that like trans people are everywhere. One and two, trans people are incredible performers. Like literally, if you've ever been to a Euphoria show, I I hope the biggest takeaway is that like wow, trans people are the best at drag.
Oh,
And it's just like it's really indescribable to be able to like build a community where like trans people and trans allies like can come together and be their authentic selves and to be held and celebrated for that and for us all to just like grow and I don't know. It's like I just get chills and I'm really, really honored to be the person that was like, I don't know, trusted with this. And we have a few more shows on the books. We have our first ever all ages show coming up in September, which I'm so excited about.
nice.
I think that's September 28th. And yeah, yeah, I'm just like really thrilled to be able to bring Euphoria and offer it to some of the younger people in our community because I just know that like I didn't come out as trans until I was a sophomore in college, and I think a lot of that was because I didn't really know that trans people existed and that these feelings inside had a name and that I could do something about it to feel better. I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
no, yeah, and especially like these kids essentially are
Hmm.
watching shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and Dragula and stuff like that. Like that's their only exposure to drag, and that's a great exposure to drag. But I feel like a lot of people who watch those shows have a and only watch those shows and have never been to a drag show before have a really narrow expectation of like what drag is actually like.
Hmm.
And it's easy for us to say, "Oh, go to a drag show," when it's a 21-year-old, or even like an 18-year-old, but like
Yeah.
specifically 21 in the context of the bars and stuff like that. Like it's so easy to tell these people, just go to a bar, go see a drag queen, mash their words, or just go see a drag queen or whatever, and it's actually just like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old who can't see a
Mm,
show. So like
yeah.
that's having that exposure will be important for them. And especially like you said, like seeing other trans people exist in the world and them being able to put like words like into what how they're feeling like into
Yeah.
into manifestation. Like um I didn't know any gay people. I mean, I knew like when I came out, I knew my mom's friend was gay and I knew I liked him,
Mm,
like, and I knew he wasn't like a bad person. And I knew people on my internet circle who were gay and queer. And like, I knew they were good people and I loved and cared about them. And it was like, I think like being friends with those people specifically and knowing my mom's friend too really helped me like realize like if I care about these people, like I should be loving like how I'm feeling about it. You know what I mean?
mm,
Because like I like I had my first like encounter like as a 13, 14-year old with like a boy, and it was like innocent type of thing, like we kissed and like Arabs kiss, like it's no big deal, but we kissed on the mouth, like not like a French kiss or anything, but like it was a mouth kiss, and it was like uh, the keys unlocked in my brain. I was like, we can't
yeah.
go down that path. We can't go. We can't do it. And then like getting to know people who are in the community and accepting
Yeah.
them, like RuPaul really said it. It's like, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love someone else? Like it was literally that specifically, you know.
Mm.
So what you're doing is so important for kids, you know, and that's really exciting that it's coming up really soon.
Well, I want to add to that. It's like with the representation piece, when you are told all of these narratives of like, if you do this, you're going to hell, like you're evil, like this is bad, this is wrong. If that's the only kind of representation you have, that like I, I don't know, I have some critiques about like the if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Because in a way, it's like seeing other people love themselves, it gives me permission to love myself sometimes. Like when I'm like, oh, that's a person that feels the same as me, and they're like loving themselves and they feel happy about that. Like maybe I can feel happy about myself too. Like maybe I'm not as wrong, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes we do. There was this quote in undergrad. I can't remember what professor told me it, but it was like we don't go through trauma alone, so we can't heal through trauma alone. And I think that like being trans is just like living through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that we need each other to heal through that and to be our best selves. And yes, we need to work on self love and self acceptance, but sometimes we need other people to help us get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're doing it for these kids, which is like, which is crazy because kids are like little sponges. I've mentored kids before, like, well, much younger kids too. I've
Mm.
mentored high schoolers and even like young adults too. But like the younger ones, like the 12 to 13-year olds and stuff like that, it was kind of scary knowing like everything that I say and do to them, like
Hmm.
whether it's good or bad, they're going to just it's going to
Hmm.
stick with them. And it's like there's such a huge responsibility for us to like, you know, protect them, you know,
Yeah,
but also like, you know, protect them and like be a space for them to like be themselves pretty much. And
absolutely.
it's such a scary responsibility knowing that you can like
Yeah.
influence somebody like that.
Yeah. I honestly am like the most stressed when I am casted for all ages shows because like obviously I'm not going to be bringing my burlesque like erotic sets there. Like I have to take so much time to really be like, okay, what is the message? Like is it intentional? Is it appropriate? Because like you said, like kids are sponges. So I want to make sure I like bring them something really solid and like bring them a positive, empowering message. And a lot of my like political or like campy cosplay stuff I usually bring to my all ages shows because I know that like those are safer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah, I'm just glad because like Divine was my first exposure to drag, and I'm just glad it was Hairspray and not Pink
Yeah.
Flamingos as a kid. It was the OG one too. I like I have such a special place for Divine and John Waters. Like
Mm,
they were
mm,
really that was like the first time I ever saw a drag queen, and I think at the time I was really obsessed with it, but I didn't know why. And now look at me talking to drag artists everywhere.
yeah. The signs were
uh,
there.
the signs were there, and like I just did not want to look at it. And I
Mm,
think it really took a long time, and up until I was like 28, to really just be more accepting and truthful in my queerness, you know. So
yeah.
it's a journey. It is a long journey that I feel like a lot of people will always be on, as long
Hmm.
as you allow yourself to, you know.
No, absolutely. It's a lifelong journey for sure.
Well, there was also another thing. I We probably should have talked about this first, but like as far as like things you produce, but um you also did an all drag king brunch. You produced a dude brunch.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
So like that was another probably example of, you know, putting people who are not necessarily in the limelight, like giving them a spot
Mm,
to shine, especially like with drag kings. I don't think I've ever This was the first one, right? Like this was the first drag king brunch. Like
yeah.
that's in Washington, right?
I think so. Like explicitly, at least in Bellingham for sure. So like
Okay.
Euphoria and Dude Brunch were two productions that like I are were like really history in the making for Bellingham. Um, Dude Brunch was I collaborated with Black Sheep, which is a local taco restaurant, and it was a lot of fun. I brought some drag kings from Vancouver and Seattle and Bellingham, and I love drag kings because they're usually more campy, and I don't know. I think it's so funny because there's the main critique that I hear when people talk about drag kings is that like they don't put in effort or that like they're lazy or whatever. But when you see a drag king, like there's you have to put on just as much makeup as a drag queen or other performer, and like you have to be really creative. And yeah, I just like anything from rhinestones, abs to like someone holding up a fish in a fake Tinder like outline. Like it was just like there it's so fun to make fun of and exaggerate like men. It's
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. They need it, honestly. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, there's
And if
so much good material out there to choose.
well, if anyone ever says like drag kings don't put in effort, like they need to go to Brooklyn
For
specifically.
sure.
Like Brooklyn drag kings are like a league of their own.
Mhm.
We talked about Mauve. We talked about we've always mentioned Show Pony. He's
Mhm.
an amazing glam rock, uh, more femme
Yeah.
glam rock drag king, who is one of the best drag kings in Brooklyn. He won an award
Yeah.
for
Amazing.
yeah. There was also God Complex over there. Um, Also, the drag kings we have here in Washington are really good. There's
Mhm.
Jack Off, I'm familiar with, Sid Seedy.
Yeah.
I knew about Sid Seedy because we Sids, we got to stick together type of deal. So,
Oh,
uh, and then well, I don't. He doesn't know me, but it's just like, oh yeah, Sid Seedy. That's I.
yes.
We have the same name. We're gonna follow each. I'm gonna follow him.
I love it.
Who else? There was also Manny. God, I can't remember his last name.
Handstand or
Yeah,
something.
the one. He does all
Oh,
the circus.
yeah. So cool. I also,
Mhm.
while we're talking about drag kings, I want to shout out, like I'm a title holder for the Emerald City Kings Ball. And
Oh,
that is also the first of its kind and a historic moment in time. And that is a drag king festival that's international. Um, and that's hosted in Seattle, Washington. There's an annual drag king ball, and
wow.
it's like 3 nights where drag kings from all over the US and Canada come together and just like celebrate their art and their amazingness. And then the third night, there's a competition to see like who are the like royalty, like who wins the drag king competition. And last year, I performed and competed, and I got third place, which is Grand Marquis, and I have like a little sash and everything. And then Justin a bit from Vancouver, BC, he won the Imperial Duke title, and then so the our like Royal Highness, our top spot was this incredible drag king called Soy Papi Churro from California,
Mhm.
and he just like uh just I just love them both so much, and I honestly like forgot that I was in a competition and did not see my win coming because
Mhm.
literally every single performer just blew me away. Like the talent of the people who like performed at that festival. I still dream about it. But Poppy's performance specifically was just like so raw and so powerful and so like he did this performance that highlighted his culture, and he had this incredible headdress on, and like it's just I my jaw was dropped the whole time, and I'm so glad he won, and I'm so excited to like come back together. The next festival is in September, and we're going to be crowning new royalty, so I'll be there doing a step down number. and crowning the next Grand Marquis. And I'm so
Okay.
excited. I can't wait. But yes, I want to shout out the Emerald City Kings Ball because they're like making really great great stuff over there and like building up the drag king community in a way that we haven't seen before.
Wow. Somehow I missed that.
Yeah.
Of my internet stalking of you, like I somehow I absolutely missed that. I didn't know we were among royalty right now. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about that because like now I'm interested. You mentioned like it was a ball and it was a drag king
hmm
ball. What made you want to participate? Like, was this your first time participating in it?
Yeah, so last year was the first time that it was like a 3-day ball. Like they were putting on like a few drag king themed things and fundraised throughout the year. Well, yeah, because I performed in a show that they had done for like one night, 1 or 2 nights 2 years ago. And then because they had such great support and community receptiveness, that they were like, okay, what if we made this into a whole big festival and just took this dream and expanded on it? And they got sponsors and they did fundraising. We even made like calendars where we had this amazing photographer come out. There's a calendar for this year too. That's really cool.
Nice.
But we just like gorillaed down and like scraped up enough money to bring in people and um, the producers. I want to shout them out while we're talking about it. So there's Harley Sane, who's one of the main people, Sherwood Ryder, and then Jabriel. Um, those three are like the main people who have like behind the scenes have been like fundraising and producing and just like making all of this happen. But I know all of them pretty well because I've been in the scene for wow, almost 5 years.
Mhm.
I've gotten to know a lot of people, and like that networking has really helped me out because like I can hear about opportunities and be like, yes. But I was like, this is a drag king festival where I get to like perform and hang out with drag kings from all over. Duh, sign me up, please,
Oh,
please.
that's oh for sure. That's so. I didn't even know we had something like that in Washington.
Yeah,
Like
so
that's
maybe
so
I'll see
cool.
you. Mm, it's probably worth
Maybe
it.
yeah. I maybe if I decide to do drag eventually,
Oh my god,
I
I would love that. Please let me know.
we're getting there. Like she's like I would be a drag queen, and it's she's like
Mhm,
she's living in my brain, and we haven't like invested yet in it. You know what I mean? Like the money.
mhm.
Like
Oh,
would you like yeah, you don't need money to like do drag. I know you can go thrifting, but it's also that too, that type of
for
investment.
makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. I have makeup. I have a lot of
Oh.
makeup actually. Shout out to Asti Cosmetics because that's my friend Mix Asti who has a cosmetics company in Los Angeles, and I love her stuff. And I've been playing around with some of the stuff that she just released recently with her partner Acacia Forgot, who's also a drag queen. um,
Mhm.
so I have a bunch of makeup. It's just the now we got to put the outfit together because I'm very theater about it. I haven't done theater in a long time, but I'm very this has to be a certain way of like putting it together that
Yeah.
I don't know. I just haven't had time to invest in, which it will happen eventually. I think I made the promise of there's an awards ceremony here in Spokane, and if I get nominated, which I've asked people who are close to me who knew me, to write me in for a nomination for collaboration, and I said if I win or if I get the nomination, I will go to the award ceremony and drag. So
Mm,
mhm.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
reason to
it's the name and everything's in there. My drag name would be my last name. I think it's kind of fierce.
Mm,
Thumali without the prefix. So um, Thumali. I don't know what the aesthetic is. I think I want to draw from a lot of Arabic
mm,
divas. Like she's controversial right now because she's kind of. I wouldn't say she's like shaking hands with Zionist, even though she's Lebanese, which she shouldn't be doing that. But she's taken some pictures with them a couple times, which is like very sus. And a lot of
Mm,
people in the Arabic community have opinions about her. But Nancy Ajram, like like stuff with her. There's also Sabah, who's a late great Lebanese singer as well. Kulthum. Who else? Some of the Arabic ones would be kind of fun to do. I think like if I do Arabic ones though, like very, but if it's very Muslim Arabic inspired, I think you wouldn't see me again if someone found out about it. This is America. I could do whatever I want, as long as I'm not offending anybody. It's my truth. But yeah, that's the caveat of being a queer Arab. Like you're just kind of skating the line of like, uh, you can get beat up for this, or people will
mm,
ignore you, type of thing. So we'll get there when we get there, but we'll get in drag eventually, I think.
I mean, yeah, that's the scary part is that like drag brings more visibility, but with that visibility, you're like more vulnerable to not just the positive, but the negative. And that's unfortunate. Like I wish that you didn't have to have that fear of like, oh, I want to explore this like art form in this specific way, but I might get physically harmed if I do and the wrong person sees me.
Yeah, I think like the way I want to do it, like it could cause a lot of trouble. Like if I just did like the, what do you call it, a Celine Dion number, and you know
Mm,
um all of a sudden I forgot every single artist that drag queens use all the time. But like uh or like Aretha Franklin, like
mm,
just like stereotypical, like your old drag queen who's 60 years old in the bar, doing the
right.
same number. Like if I did that drag, that's fine.
Hmm.
But why do you got to drag your last name into it? That's probably what they would say, which is like it's very Arabic. It's very, that's the tribe's name. Like I have a whole tribe in Saudi Arabia, so it's like dragging them into it. And I was like, the only reason why I'm choosing my last name is so I'm in the Arabic Wikipedia, because Al Thumali is in the Arabic Wikipedia, and
Oh, cool.
I want my name in there.
I love
I
that.
think that would be
I love
fun.
that. I
But
don't know. I
anyway,
say,
oh, what were you gonna say?
I said, go for it.
Yeah, we'll get there. The big
Yeah.
one, honestly, is just money and
Yeah.
that kind of investment. We
Mhm.
got a podcast to run, so that's how I'll slowly get into drag. Get to know a couple more drag kings and queens and infiltrate that way. That's how I think like I'll get into RuPaul's Drag Race too. Like they see
Networking.
this podcast, well,
Yeah.
networking and being on this podcast, and once I put on the wig and stuff and like just give them that tragic
Over.
backstory I have, like I'm perfect for TV. But I digress. We've talked about me enough. We actually are kind of getting to the end of the show, which I'm kind of surprised because
Yeah.
we've had a really good conversation, I think. Like, and we really got to know you a lot, like throughout this episode, like more so than even like just some of like the outline stuff. Like you're really cool, Dizzy. Like I'll just say
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Yeah. How have you enjoyed it so far?
Oh, I'm having such a good time. It's kind of, I'm also just like, I have some social anxiety. It's kind of like having a bunch of tattoos, but fearing needles. You know, like I'm a drag performer. People tend to think like, oh, you're probably so extroverted and like social out of drag. And um, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have some silly moments, but most of the time I'm a little bit introverted. I just like to hang out with my cats and
Yeah. I didn't
so.
get that vibe.
Oh, great, great. Yeah. Well, I'm also outside of drag. I am a like a relational mentor slash case aide for kids in foster care, and I'm a foster alum. So I was in foster care from 15 until my 21st birthday. And so I think that like sometimes the like inner foster kid comes out, and drag is also not only like a way for me to be like explore my gender and to connect with community, but it's also a way for me to feed that little kid inside that's like always yearning for love, which is kind of sad. But
No,
really
that's true.
healing in a lot of ways. Like I get to build this chosen family with people, and I'm shy and timid sometimes because I'm like I just care so deeply, and sometimes I get nervous. And you have made me feel super comfortable, and so I just really appreciate that, and I appreciate the conversation we've had. I've had a great time.
Oh yeah, and we're not done yet. One thing I forgot to mention in our pre-show is our lightning round questions.
Oh,
Which will, yeah, we'll get to there. We'll get there in just a second. But I do have one more question I want to ask, like kind of like to wrap things up. So you've had all these like really amazing accomplishments with like Euphoria, your title, the is it the Emerald City Drag King Ball? Is that
yeah, ECKB, so the Emerald City Kings Ball.
okay? Yeah, you're a title holder, which we just learned about. I should have done my research more on that. You've gotten to be a really big influence within the Bellingham scene, especially with like the people that who know you, like Faye, Sage Valentine, Miss Chris Rose. Also, I didn't pull up her because I talk with Chris a lot, and I couldn't
Oh,
like I would have to like scroll all the way. But like she also said some really amazing things about you as well. So like a lot of people love you. So my question, it's kind of a general question that I have is like what's next for you? Like where do you see yourself in a year? Like doing
hmm.
drag or even in your personal life? Like what do you want to improve on? What are some things you want to obtain? Like what's left for you? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Um, I hope that Euphoria continues to grow and that like I get to keep doing that. Producing is a lot of hard work, but it's really an honor and it feels worth it when I'm on the stage and I get to be there with community. So I really hope that Euphoria continues to like just be its amazing little baby self that it is. And I hope that I continue making gains in CrossFit. So,
Oh, that's
uh,
right. We forgot to mention the you did CrossFit as
I
well.
do.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
we'll get back to like that the sentimental stuff. Like I want to talk about it because you we got to answer the age old question. Do you lift, bro? Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because like yeah, just recently you were part of Seattle does this thing. I don't have it written down, but like Seattle does this thing every year where it's like a pride like lifting competition, and you were a part of that. So like, tell me about like CrossFit and like lifting because
Mhm.
you're pretty swole. Like even just looking at it right now.
I try. I'm working on it. Yeah, it was really cool. It's called Pullapalooza. So it's like
Okay.
a yeah, yeah. So it's a Seattle Pride deadlift party. It's been happening for a few years now. It's produced by Rain City Fit, which if you've seen Queer Eye, that was kind of featured in Queer Eye. It's this all like queer trans owned gym, and it's just so cool. Um, but yeah, they put it on and they have a bunch of sponsors and they fundraise for a few local like nonprofits. Um, and people come together. So like hundreds of weightlifters will come from everywhere and sign up. And our goal is every pound lifted is a dollar fundraised.
Oh,
And
cool.
everyone just does 1 rep max deadlifts. So it's everyone just pulling their heaviest deadlifts, and there's community everywhere. There's drag queens. Everyone is just like out and proud and lifting heavy. And it was my first time like in a queer led gym and like queer led lifting event. And it was just like it was so cool. I had been training for months, bro. and, and my goal was to hit 275. I think that like coming into it, the last time I had tested my 1 rep was like 267, and I ended up with lifting on my final lift 290, which was like
Wow.
so cool. And It was just
Crazy.
like feeding off of the energy of everyone was it was awesome. It was really and I'm so excited to go next year and I just can't wait to like go through and hit 300 plus. I just feel it. I know it's coming.
Oh yeah, you can lift me up. That's crazy.
Oh, okay. We can
like
do a
like
drag act.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I've just recently got into like the fitness and stuff. Like that's kind of where I want to be at too, like lifting and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
eventually, I want to like build up the stamina and like just the more strength up
Mhm.
upper body strength. Even though my upper body strength has been really great recently, especially with like boxing and all that. But
Mm.
that's something I've always wanted to try as well is like lift. And I don't really know. I've never tried it. Like, so I don't know what's the heaviest I lift. I mean, the most I can lift is like my dog, and he's like a yellow lab and weighs 90 pounds, 100 pounds.
Yay.
He's kind of a struggle too, because he's a big dog, so he doesn't like being lifted. So he's like putting all his weight down, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm not a puppy anymore.
Oh, you're always a puppy. No, I
Exactly.
think that I started CrossFit when I was in high school. And like in high school, I was going through foster care and just all of these really stressful life events. I also like grew up like very overweight and was bullied pretty harshly all throughout elementary school. And I developed like an eating disorder and lost a bunch of weight and just like have always struggled with body image and CrossFit was this avenue for me to like work on my health goals and to like feel stronger not only physically but mentally because like basically CrossFit is a mix of cardio and weightlifting and it's in a community kind of circle so you have like you're not doing it alone and that you have like support from people and you push yourself harder than you ever thought was possible and sometimes it's really hard for me to get into the gym, but I always feel so proud of myself when I get out of it. And thankfully, I've moved on from like needing to be super skinny to be liked to like, I want to feel strong so that like for myself so that I can live longer and so that I can feel better in my body and not just like all that
Mhm.
like body ideal stuff, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, like the reason why, like, besides all the stuff that I mentioned, like the reason why I
Hmm.
wanted to like get healthy and stuff like that. The other reason was I go to Disneyland frequently, and I wanted to make sure I was able to walk.
Yeah.
Specifically, last year, when it was my almost my 30th birthday. So that was last year was my 30th birthday, and I was like, I'm doing DragCon, I'm doing Disneyland, I'm doing Universal Studios. We got to make sure we can do it. Because I've been in the past, and it's hard even like as much as I've run and walked and stuff like that, it's still difficult
Mm.
to like do like 4 days straight of it. So I wanted to be able to make sure I was able to do it. So that was the reason. And then you notice the figure, you notice like, oh my God, I'm feeling myself a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So like you kind of want to like go more and see like how far you go.
Yeah.
I don't think people have been nicer to me, like, or like
Mm.
nothing's changed. Like, you know how like when people who are overweight and
Mhm.
lose so much weight and all of a sudden like interactions are a little different. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten that yet. I haven't gotten that feeling. Yeah,
Huh.
like not yet anyway. I think I need to lose more weight to do that. But
I feel like
to
you have
like
had like a dramatic transition though.
oh for sure. Yeah, I'm not stressed out about it. Like I'm not stressed out about it. It's more like um I you hear these stories of like people who lost so much weight and
Yeah.
like interactions are different, and
Mhm.
I never really felt that. So
Did you ever
that might
feel
be a
like super judged when you were like bigger? Like did you or do
oh
you feel like people were nice to you?
people made fun of my weight.
Mm.
The last one I can recall actually was recently in adulthood. And I think some things like go over my head a little bit, especially like, I don't know, when I'm working and I'm like, I hate my job and I don't want to be here. And like someone makes a comment of like, you know, I think he said something like, "Do they make clothes big enough for you?" type of thing. And at first I was like, I answered honestly, but then like one of my coworkers next to me is like, "That guy was an asshole." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." But it was really bad as a kid. Like self-image and all that. Like there was it was the early 2000s. People were still on that like weight loss kick and everything.
I don't
And
know. Today
I,
it's
I
coming
love,
back. Ozempic.
what was that?
The Ozempic craze. I feel like it's coming back.
Yeah, Ozempic. That's really interesting. That whole thing. I don't think I could ever do something like that
No,
to myself, unless God forbid, I have diabetes or something and I need Ozempic. Even then, I was just like, ugh, injecting yourself with a needle. That's crazy. I mean, trans people do it all the time, like with testosterone. So like I can't complain. But as someone who hates needles, I just like I look at it, I'm like, that's you
yeah,
know, not for me. But yeah, I mean, like growing up, it was rough, but
yeah.
um, we figured it out in therapy eventually. What did you cut off a little bit? Like, what
Oh,
did you
I
say?
love therapy.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
therapy's great. I recently discovered I had OCD, so um,
Mm,
that 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 also unlocked a lot of things. So yeah, therapy's great. um, but no, that's cool that you found cross fitness and it being such a positive environment. I saw pictures not just of you, but like of that entire event. Looked really cool. I also know specifically that Sasha Colby hosted it a little bit. Like she
oh my
did some.
gosh. She was like I said, I don't watch a lot of RuPaul, so sometimes I'm just guessing when people are like, "Do you see this queen?" But I saw Sasha and I was like, I feel like that is someone famous. And then she started talking and I was like, oh. I was
Yeah,
just casually walking by her.
she was popular even before Drag Race. Like I knew her way before Drag Race too. Like, well, I say way as if it was like years, but like I think a year before she started Drag Race, like I saw her perform live for free, which was like
Wow.
crazy now since every performance that she's in now, it's like yeah, it's paid for, but she's phenomenal. Like just amazing. Like
Mm,
what else can you say about Sasha Colby? She's amazing, but
yeah, great.
I know she was I know she hosted that too, so it looks cool. I want to go to it one day.
I mean, it's every year. If you want,
Mhm.
if you want to go next year, I want to start. I want to get like a little trans lifting squad, queer lifting squad. I know you're not. You're not trans, right?
Close, non-binary.
Oh, I mean that is trans. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
people have
yeah
different opinions about it, but I
yeah.
feel like
It's in I feel like it's in the same umbrella. Personally, like I'm not about to like take trans spaces, I feel like, you know what I mean? It's more of a personal like I don't really fit in I don't feel like I fit in either box. But also at the same time, I'm not doing anything to identify as one way,
like
I guess.
not medically transitioning. Is
Yeah,
that what
pretty
you mean?
much. Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
not
you
really
need to
interested in.
medically transition to be valid.
Yeah. Oh no, I feel valid. Absolutely.
Okay.
I guess yeah, for me it's really like the way I define it is like um I am who I am. I don't really fit in these
Mm.
boxes, but at the same time, um, I don't want to take up like spaces for other like trans people who like really need that space. Like
Mm,
I'm fine where I'm at least right
yeah,
now, until something
yeah.
in therapy unlocks something.
I hear that. I guess for me, like, because I identify as trans non-binary, like I am non-binary, but like I do say that I'm trans because, like, in my opinion, being trans means identifying as anything other than cisgender. Like, if you're like trans cisgender, like if you're not cis, then you're trans. Just like you're a part of
Okay,
that big umbrella. Like, you don't have to be a man or a woman, like
I
to
feel that.
not. So I guess like I understand like not wanting to take away from that pot, but I also feel like there can be some empowerment and some like community building opportunities of and like embracing. But if you don't
Yeah,
feel trans, that's also valid. I just
yeah,
like I don't
yeah. We'll get there.
know.
I feel like, you know, with me coming out specifically, and not to make this show about me because it's about you. We need to get to that. We need to finish the last part of your
Oh yeah.
question, but get to me just a little bit. I've come out 4 or 5 different times, so and I'm
Mm,
open to a sixth time of coming out. So who knows? You know, like I'm not purposely like suppressing anything. So that's the
mm,
big thing. I think like the big thing for me was, at least like in my coming out journey, is I suppressed a lot because like I first came out as bisexual, but I didn't want to acknowledge that I liked guys, and then I made out with made out with someone on stage. It was a stage kiss with someone who at the time identified as a cis male. Like that was the first kiss I've ever had, like not in a romantic or anything. It was just like a stage kiss, but I took it a little bit more uh what's the word, serious, what with the feelings that I was having at this moment, where to the point where I was like, maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm actually not bi. And then um getting to know more trans people like in my circle, and like being attracted to some of them, and that made me question like, well, do you like their genitals or something like that? Like what's going on? Because like they're trans, like they're, you know, trans men oftentimes, you know, they don't have penises, so it's like, what am I attracted to here, you know?
mm.
And that's where the queer came out. And then other like experiences, once I came out to my dad in Saudi Arabia and stopped talking to him pretty much, like that's when I started to be like a little bit more confident in saying like, yeah, non-binary, this, you know, neither, I don't feel like I fit in any of these two boxes, especially like putting on makeup and stuff, and how empowering that is. And I always say like my tattoos are pretty feminine. There was this one creator that I was following, that I'm following. Her name is what's her name? Eve.
Mm.
She used to perform in queer nightlife under Cherub. I don't know if that name sounds
Yeah,
familiar, but
yeah, love.
okay. Yeah, she really opened, like she really opened like that gender eye, where it was like, yeah, she's a trans woman, but she identifies more like a tomboy would, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of feminine I want to be, where it's not
Yeah.
exactly feminine,
Oh
you know?
yeah. Gosh, I want her muscles. Like talk about inspo. Like
Ah, she's so
she's so
hot. Like
truly.
yeah.
Also, I took one of her skincare consultations. I'm just gonna like throw that out. They're amazing. If anyone is struggling with skincare, DM her.
I need to get on it because I did DM her, but again, I like putting my money towards other things that, you know,
Hmm.
maybe I shouldn't be spending money on what was it that I spent money on, like eating out all the time,
I know.
or something like that. So no, we'll get into it, especially since I need a new skincare routine. I have been using sunscreen more, so
Oh, nice. Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
Um, let's finish off your question,
Okay.
and then
Great.
get to lightning round because we're kind of going over time. But
Yeah.
yeah, finish it up. Where's Dizzy? Where are they at next year?
Next year. Yeah, I think that just trying to find like a balance between all of the things that I love about life and community is so like drag and CrossFit and work and self-care and like my spiritual journey of like cultural reconnection and just I hope to find myself slowing down a little bit but still like being a part of important projects like Euphoria and Pullapalooza and stuff like that. So I hope to find like a balance between all the things. And I hope that we as a community don't catch on fire.
Oh yeah, I
It's kind of hard to think about the future like long term right now, but um, yeah, I hope that like continue growing and healing being able to do all of the things that I love.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Is there still something on the horizon that you really want to do? Like besides like, growing
Mm,
and finding balance in the things that you like, is there something specifically that you want to do next year that is like kind of bucket list, wish list type of deal for Dizzy?
yeah. Well, this year I wanted to like do like a little road trip slash like mini drag tour. Like
Okay.
I was born in Florida, so I thought it would be kind of cute to like drive down to Florida but stop on the way to different like drag bars and just kind of get to know other scenes. So I think I wasn't able to do that this year because just a lot of like personal stuff happened. But it would be really cool to do like a little mini tour. At least go down to Portland and into like a few other states around Washington. I think that would be sweet.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds great. I always tell people they should produce their own thing. I mean, like you're already doing it, like with Euphoria and Dude Crunch and all that. But I always encourage people to, you know, if you're not seeing the opportunities that you want, or there are other better opportunities that out there that no one else is providing you, go do it. Like make that happen for yourself. That's what this podcast is all about. Like the people I met and stuff, like I've reached out to them and asked like, "Hey, do you want to be on this show?" And most of the time, they don't reply back. Some of the, I think I've gotten a couple of, not too many actually, but like a couple of downright rejections. But like it was respectful rejections, and
Yeah.
um, but a lot of the majority of people like what I'm doing. So it's like, you're never gonna know unless you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Which I encourage that. So I would go to a Disney tour. Stop by Spokane, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can like help out some of the drag kings here. Not saying like they're like bad or anything, but like, help out the community here because it
Yeah.
really is like it could use some help. Not in the aesthetic wise, but more recognition, I would say.
Mm,
So it would
mm-hmm.
be kind of cool having more opportunities for our local
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, because it's like an opportunity for me to meet more people and to like grow my fan base in a way, but also for me to like use my like following to kind of highlight other communities that like I even started reaching out to other people and started researching into other bars and other performers, like local, small scale, and I've made a few friends already, and I just think it's cool.
Nice.
I don't know. A tour would be fun for the simple fact that I get an opportunity to make more friends and to like be weird on more stages. And to just like highlight and be like, look at all these cool people that are otherwhere, like other places. There's
Mhm.
cool drag everywhere.
Oh yeah. Get a grant too, because like those
Hmm.
people, there's people out there who will give you money to like
That's a good
just
idea. I love
do what
money.
you love. Oh yeah, especially like us queer people, like they love queer people and they love giving queer people money. So
Okay, great. Yeah, send them my
that
way.
yeah. um, but I want to like end off before we get to the lightning round section. It's not really lightning round; it's more questions. But um, by saying like, despite like everything next year, like God knows what's gonna happen. But as someone who's come from Saudi Arabia, probably the worst place that you could be queer in. There are gay people there, and despite the fact that they're hiding and they can't really be themselves out in the open, they survive and they're here. And I'm a good example of that too. I
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily born there, but like I was raised there, and my father's Saudi, so it's like, you know, I am from there, and I got out of there with privilege, because my mother is American, but um, I was kind of brainwashed into like believing the system there. So if I can get out and I can like be happy, and there's queer people in Saudi Arabia enjoying their life despite the fact that, yeah, you can they can kill you over there for being gay if they wanted to. It's in the law. Um, you know, they're persevering, and
Mm,
whatever happens next year, we're gonna persevere, and I
absolutely.
really believe that. And people even in America. like people in the 80s, people in the 80s and 90s who had to go through the AIDS epidemic and stuff like that. Like, yeah, a lot of people did die, but the people who survived are still with us here to this day, existing and loving and being themselves. So regardless of what happens next year, good or bad, like we're never going anywhere.
No. Yeah. Queer people will be here till the end of time. Like we've
Exactly.
always been here,
Hmm.
and we always will be. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Dizzy, let's go ahead and dive into the lightning round question of the show, which is not really lightning round. It's five more questions. They're generic questions. They're questions I ask guests each and every week on the show. They're fun. They're not so quick because we'll talk about them forever. Are you ready?
I'm ready, I think.
All right.
I hope.
Question number one. Yeah, I didn't prep you on this because I completely forgot, but um, they're they're not embarrassing at all. Don't worry. Question number one. Describe a perfect day.
Um, a perfect day, I would wake up without an alarm clock as late as I want, and the alarm clock would not be my cat screaming.
Oh,
Because that's usually my actual alarm clock is my cat screaming before my alarm clock. So I'd wake
love
up
that.
fully rested, whatever time that is. I'd feed my cats breakfast. Um, and then I would probably just like spend the day making art, maybe going on a walk and going to visit the ducks across the pond. And there's a little pond across the street from my apartment currently, and
Oh,
I have
nice.
like a really emotional connection to the ducks that live there. So I'd maybe say hi to the ducks and go on a walk, maybe go to CrossFit, go hang out with friends and have a good meal, and then just go home and finish the night with like a good snack, cuddled up with my cats. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have the problem of having an internal alarm clock where no
Mm.
matter what happens, I will wake up at 7 a.m.
Oh
It could
God,
be,
no,
yeah, it could be, I could be going out to the bars and drinking like blackout drunk at like 2 a.m. and I will wake up at 7.
no.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's the caveat of an 8 to 5 job. So
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah. But no, that's really nice, especially the ducks too. Like
Oh
having access to ducks sounds really nice.
yes. So fun fact, I went to Fairhaven College at Western, which is an
Mhm.
interdisciplinary college. It's kind of like Evergreen, where you can like create your own degree and the like main I can't remember exactly what they're called, but the core classes. You know how usually at school you have to take like a science and a math credit and English credit. So like we had alternative ones and you didn't have to take a math credit at all. But my science credit, the class that was offered was bird watching. And so I took bird
Fun.
watching for my science credit. And it was
Nice.
basically just like learning about local birds and going on field trips to go watch birds. It's great.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
I took a biology similar kind of class, but it was biology of food, and so
Mm.
we went to creeks to like get like microbiology and like the river. Me and my other friend who's been on the show before, we we're kind of total divas, and like this was like a little gross type of vibe. But no, it was kind of fun, like going out. We all tried like this was, I feel like 2019 was like the year of the Impossible Burger, like where it really got popular around
Oh,
that time. And so like I had my first Impossible Burger, learning about how they made that. Like why is this thing that says it's not meat? Why is it bleeding? This is kind of weird. We also had to like dissect owl palates, when they
oh
like
yeah.
vomit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the diva in us like just could not. It was
It's
very
kind of
gross.
cool. I don't, my
Yeah.
like the main foster family I lived with in high school. Uh, the dad was a civil biologist in a taxidermy, like did taxidermy. So we had like a separate house attached, or not attached, but like next to the main house that was like all dead stuff. And I
Oh.
remember like, going with him to look for owl pellets or owl barf.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It was
I'll never do that
creepy.
again. But it was a lot
No?
of fun. Well, yeah, it was a fun class. I just like I'm not a nature person. I'm very city.
Mm,
I love
mhm.
the city.
Very clamper. Yeah. No
I tr-
camping.
I I try. I mean, like, with my budget and everything, like you would think I would be more conservative with my money, but no, I have a rich person's palate. I
Mm,
saw this like 14 karat plated gold Pokemon necklace that I'm like,
gotta have. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
like,
gonna
necessary.
yeah, it's a necessity. It looks really cool, you know.
That is gender
It has a
euphoria
chain.
at its finest.
What's that?
That is gender euphoria at its finest. Is like a
Yeah, it's
gold-plated Pokemon.
a crystallized too.
Oh,
So it was yeah, you would like it too. I think you would really like it. I might be buying it. We'll see. If the next episode has me with that necklace, you'll know I bought it. um, but no, that's really cool. I really like that. Very relaxing. I like it when people talk about their day. So that's really cool.
mm,
Question number two. What's a song that describes your life right now?
um, a song that describes my life. I don't know. Songs are hard. I'm like, can I slyly pull up Spotify?
Oh, that's fine. We've we've had to do that in the past. So
uh, I don't know. That's such a hard. It depends on the day, for sure. Um, yeah. I guess like currently because I'm thinking about mortality, maybe like Used to Be Young by Miley Cyrus.
oh, okay.
But we'll
Was
see. It
that
might be something different tomorrow.
was it from her recent album where Flower was
Yeah,
from?
yeah. I'm such a Miley stan. I was like such a Hannah Montana nerd for sure. Like I watched
Mhm.
every single episode. I cried when it was over.
Oh yeah. I think a couple of people in Saudi Arabia, because I went to Arabic school and I was known
Mm.
as the American guy. I think someone actually believed I had a huge crush on Hannah Montana, so I think a lot of people thought I was dating her
Oh,
for some reason, just because like I'm American, she's American, you know.
that's funny. So
I
obviously you
did.
know you are in love.
What was that?
Well, obviously you know each other and are in love since you're both American.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I did convince somebody that Jennifer Lawrence was my aunt. Like I really it's really easy. Like I don't know, but they're also kids, Like I like to
Mm.
think like it's like a cultural thing. Like oh yeah, they don't like they're just assuming like I speak English, whatever, and all that. But like they're also kids, and we were all kids. We're all dumb at the time. So no, I just love that. Um, shame, very shame about Billy Ray Cyrus recently.
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty mad about that. It's
Yeah.
too soon.
So, yeah, exactly. Let's not talk about him anymore. Question number three. What's your third favorite movie?
My third favorite movie. Mm, have you ever seen that movie called Spaceballs?
Spaceballs. Are you kidding? That's so crazy.
I used to have it on VHS. Like I would just watch it all the time.
Oh, that movie. So I haven't seen it in a bit, but I love Spaceballs. I love John Candy. Like
Yes.
what what an icon that just too soon, gone too
I
soon.
know. Yeah. I was also going to say either that or Cry Baby, which is like another John Wilder. Have you seen that one?
That's the one I haven't seen yet. I want to
Oh,
eventually.
really? That one's
Mhm.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Spaceballs is great. Did you know they're making a sequel? Like Mel Brooks
No
is making a
way.
sequel. Yeah, it's kind of a parody. I think the title has something to do with like the Force Awakens like type of things in here, like the
Mm-hmm.
Schwartz Awakens or something like that. But um, yeah, they're making a sequel to Spaceballs. I don't know how that works or if it's going to be any good, but I don't think Mel Brooks has made a movie in a long time.
Wow. I mean, like, how it's an older movie. Like, are they gonna recast everyone or are they gonna try? That's interesting.
They'll probably have new people and like these old people performing, and Mel Brooks was kind of old back then too, so like he played an old person, like the Schwartz, the Yoda character. I remember that.
Mm,
Uh,
yes.
but how do you do it without Rick Moranis though? Because Rick Moranis is like he hasn't done anything. He hasn't even done the new Ghostbusters, which is he was really well
Oh,
known for.
yeah, I did see that. It was interesting.
Yeah, but I digress. That's a good choice. Good answer.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah. Question number 4. What's your favorite ice cream topping or frozen yogurt if you like frozen yogurt?
Oh, oh, I haven't had it. I love frozen yogurt. I think if it's frozen yogurt, it's usually like berries, and then I usually will get like a few of the Sour Patch candies because I like how they harden, and it's like a challenge to eat it once it gets cold.
Okay.
But I haven't had it since I was a kid. But like my automatic answer was, do you remember those like the shell, sir, like chocolate covering that you could
Oh
get in like
yeah.
and then it would harden and you could crack it. That was
Oh yeah.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good. Don't they still sell that?
I hope so. I'm not.
Hmm.
I need to
Yeah.
check it out.
They took away purple ketchup from the kids, and like hopefully they
Yeah,
at least have that.
I know.
Yeah. Did you have purple ketchup when you were young? Like was that
Yeah, it was okay.
I mean it
Yeah,
was still
I did.
ketchup, but it was purple.
Right. Yeah. My school once it was like green eggs and ham day, like Dr. Seuss day, and they dyed everything green in the lunchroom. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, it's weird because like food dye does have a distinct color, like taste sometimes,
Yes.
depending on how
Yeah.
much. Well, you don't really taste it in baking, but like I feel like in eggs and yolk and like how
Mm-hmm.
yolky it is, like that doesn't sound good.
Sometimes we'll use food coloring to like dye our mouths and stuff and drag. Like
Oh,
I've had,
okay.
I've had someone, I think like Baby is one who most recently taught me it. He's like a non-binary performer in Seattle that came here from California. But Baby does this really cool drag king like fly look where they put like green food coloring in their mouth and it looks really gross and awesome.
Oh, that's
So,
sick.
yeah.
That sounds really cool.
Mm,
Um,
but-
question number 5, the last question, the most important question of the show. Pick a side, left Twix or right Twix.
Oh God. What's the difference between them again? Whichever is the one that has more caramel.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Sage were talking about it actually. Like I think like that was like the rumor of it. Like one has
They're
more
different.
caramel, one has more. Are they
Yeah.
like
Yes, they
okay?
are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see any scientific proof of that yet. So we haven't done the
Well,
research.
I mean, for science, I guess. Like, just gonna have to go get some
That
Twix. But
yeah,
yeah, one has more cookie and one has more caramel.
interesting.
I would choose
Okay.
the
Yeah,
caramel.
that's what I thought it was too. Um they have to give me a grant for me to like do that research.
Yeah, for sure. You should
I
just
don't
get
think that's a
sponsored
oh, that would be kind of cool. I don't think they run that campaign anymore though. I haven't seen it around.
by. Oh. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I remember when it was like that was the main thing in the media. All we would talk about is Twix left and right. But they
Exactly.
would
If it's
sell like only left and only right. I don't know if they still do that or not.
I think they
Mm.
do it for the little party packs you get for
Oh,
Halloween.
oh, okay. Mm.
All right. Well, Dizzy, we're at the end of the show. Thank you again for joining. Where can people find you, and what do you got going on in the next? This episode's probably going to come out in 2 weeks, hopefully. Uh, depending on when I edit and everything. But like, what are some events that people can find you at?
Yeah, so first and foremost, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is my drag name, so DIZZYPHORIA. That is also my Venmo and Cash App handles. And my email if you attach a Gmail at the end. So if you want to reach me, that's one of the best ways. Um, I in Bellingham, I am casted at Rumors Cabaret every Friday for QAF, so Queer Ass Fridays, and that is at 8:45 sharp. Um, I
8:45
also
drag time.
yeah, drag time for sure. But get there around there if you want a good seat. And then I think the next big thing is Euphoria on September 28th, and that's going to be an all ages Euphoria. And that will be at the Blue Room. So stay tuned for more info on my Instagram for that. It's going to be really exciting. And then the next Emerald City Kings Ball, I believe, is the weekend before that. So the like 20th, 21st, and 22nd, or something like that. Around that time will be the next Emerald City Kings Ball, where people will be coming in from all across the nation and Canada to perform and compete for the next like all drag king superstars.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that. And then at the end of August here in Bellingham, I'll be emceeing an event called Trans Joy at Shebang, and that's gonna be really really fun. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
God, book and bless. Yeah, you
I'm
got all these
excited.
gigs and stuff.
I'm
Yeah. You work really hard. So hopefully y'all can check out Dizzy and all these places. And links in the description for everything that they just mentioned. So if you want to go support them at their Venmo, Cash App, on Instagram, if you want to book them and a show, Gmail them, email them, whatever. And then check out all the amazing shows that they're going to be in. And hopefully you get to enjoy everything that's going to be coming to this show eventually. Now that we are back up and running, we had an amazing episode last week with Sage Valentine. Dizzy Phoria is this week's episode. Who's coming up next? I don't know. I'm still reaching out to people, so hopefully by then we'll know. If you don't, there's not going to be an episode after this.
oh my gosh.
At least like not for a little bit. So hopefully there's going to be a succession of episodes. So after Dizzy, we don't know yet, but stay tuned because we're gonna have some cool people on. In the meantime, please subscribe, like, comment, share, wherever you might get your podcasts, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok. I'll post clips eventually. That's just more work for me, but you can go support me on TikTok. I got 1,000 subscribers there, so that's kind of fun. Um, but then, but without further ado, Wayward Artist, without further ado, again, it's been real.